We begin in a women's prison where Daya Diaz arrives at Litchfield as a new inmate alongside two others. As they walk to the door, numerous women glare at them. Morello opens the door, and an elderly inmate steps outside. Morello warns the three new women to stay on her good side. She sends them off to get processed. While Piper is getting her ID made, the guards have trouble with the camera. The younger of the two, Bennett, attempts to fix it. Piper notices an unplugged cord and asks if it needs to be plugged in. The other guard, Mendez, rudely tells her to shut up and stand still. Sometime later, Morello continues to show the new trio around. Daya asks when they will get beige outfits like everyone else. Another inmate walks up to Daya, slaps her across the face, and walks away. Morello shows Daya and Piper to the room they'll stay in while they wait to be assigned to dorms. One inmate scolds Daya for not knowing how to speak Spanish. Later, Daya walks in to see her mom, Diyanara Diaz, who greeted her the previous day by smacking her, but instead is confronted by another woman, Maritza, who claims to be her mother's daughter too, and she curses her. After, Diyanara refuses to give Daya any extra khakis and says not to try for them too soon, saying she'll be old news as soon as she's out of her newbie orange jumpsuit. On the staircase, Daya asks Officer Bennett for some gum, but he denies, saying he can't show favoritism. Daya asks him, "Don't you?" He just walks away. He is clearly attracted to Daya, and their flirtations become more evident. But later at bedtime, Daya, on climbing her bunk, she finds a piece of gum under her pillow and she smiles. The next day, while sitting in a guard booth, CO Mendez asks Bennett about his tour of duty in Afghanistan and how they dealt with the issue of women. Bennett replies that they used to be visited by some Russian girls, but they often cried, making the situation difficult. Mendez boasts that all the women here are longing for him because they've been locked up for so long. When Bennett asks if Mendez fools around with them, Mendez replies that it's against the rules. During this conversation, Daya walks past their booth. Later, while Bennett is making his guard rounds, an inmate calls him to their cube and she informs him that Daya isn't allowed to put pictures on the wall. However, Bennett compliments the picture, calling it a nice piece of art, and tells the inmate she can leave it up. This makes Daya smile. The following day, Daya gets stuck by her necklace while trying to put on her uniform. Luckily, Bennett turns up and asks if he can help, and she accepts the offer. They both chuckle. This interaction is charged with unspoken emotions. Here we see Bennett's growing attraction to Daya. The next day, an alarm goes off while Bennett is seen walking the perimeter. However, it is announced on the radio that it is a false alarm. He takes out a tin from the tobacco shack which contains some nicotine lozenges and puts one under his tongue. He finds Daya still lying down and tells her that the alarm was called off, so she can stand up. Bennett explains that he is trying to quit smoking, but Daya mentions she uses menthols. She asks if she can try one, and he helps put one under her lip. However, she finds it disgusting and immediately spits it out. Bennett notices something stuck in her teeth and helps her get it off, sparking emotions between them. After Daya is seen arguing with her mom, she later gives her some corn to trade for necessities. Bennett finds her on the way and reminds her that trading among inmates is prohibited. Secretly, he slips a note into her pocket while holding her hand. Daya pretends that the corn was confiscated in front of the other inmates. She grabs a tissue and walks to the bathroom. Upon reading the note, Bennett explains that he's feeling pressured to be more stringent with the girls. When she arrives at their designated meeting place, she discovers a piece of chewing gum and the note left for her. Later, Bennett discovers her note featuring a picture of him, which boosts his morale. Daya is sitting with her mom, who has already noticed her relationship with Bennett and their exchange of affectionate notes. Her mom advises her to consider dating correctional officers who will support her, rather than those who won't offer any assistance. Bennett finds a note from Daya requesting to meet him tomorrow at the utility closet. Anticipating the meeting eagerly in his guard booth, he waits for the clock to tick. But to his shock, when he reaches the utility closet, he finds Daya's mother, who is completely undressed. In the yard, Daya confronts her mother with a slap, accusing her of trying to seduce Bennett and calling her a slut. Meanwhile, Caputo interrogates the COs in his office about a possible cell phone in Litchfield, warning Bennett about maintaining strict boundaries with the inmates to avoid trouble. That even a smile at the wrong time can land him in serious trouble. Later, Daya meets Bennett in a janitor's closet where he attempts to end their relationship due to its inappropriate nature and the risk to his job. Daya questions if they got intimate with her mother, but Bennett reassures her of his feelings. The two kiss and Daya proceeds to initiate mouth music on him, pulls down his pants to reveal his prosthetic leg. Despite initial embarrassment over his prosthetic leg, Daya affectionately kisses it, demonstrating her acceptance of him. At the guard booth, Mendez observes Bennett grinning and inquires about the reason behind it. When Mendez jokingly suggests that Bennett might have been intimate with someone, his worried expression betrays his fear that Mendez might be aware of his relationship with Daya. In an attempt to divert Mendez's suspicion, Bennett invents a story about the woman being half Asian and half Brazilian. Next, a flu outbreak spreads rapidly through Litchfield, causing most inmates to fall ill. While daily medications are being administered, Daya vomits into a nearby trash can. Daya's mother brings her a bucket in case she gets sick again. Daya remarks that other inmates have been recovering, so she expects to get better soon too. Aleda, however, suggests otherwise, implying that Daya's condition is different and will resolve in 9 months, indicating that Daya is pregnant. The following day, we see Gloria mixing some hubs for her while she complains that it smells nasty. She tells him the mixture is going to help her with putting an end to it. However, the mixture seems ineffective, as Daya is still in a very bad state later. When her mother shows up, she tells Daya that she won't let her proceed with her plan. In the mess hall, Daya exchanges glances with Bennett, who is unaware of what's happening. She decides to keep the baby, but asks how they can plan it so that he doesn't get into trouble. Her mother says she will figure out a plan. After a while, Caesar goes by Bennett's apartment. He tells him that he is a relative to Daya and asks how and where the baby will live, and it's at that point that Bennett learns that Daya is pregnant. He meets Daya at their spot and starts complaining of how Caesar turned up at his house, which Daya says didn't have anything to do with it. Bennett asks if there is a pill she can take to get rid of it, but Daya, who is joined by Aleda, is not willing. He is concerned that the system will discover he had slept with Daya, which could result in disciplinary action for both. He explains that his prosthetic left leg, originally thought to be from his tour in Afghanistan, is really from an infection when he had a cut and stepped into a dirty hot tub in Florida. Aleda warns him that he better start saving and planning for the baby and how to explain Daya's pregnancy, saying, "You got 9 months." Later, Bennett meets with Daya and her mother in the utility closet, proposing to get Daya out of prison on furlough to cover his tracks. However, Daya's mother points out that this process will take longer than expected. Red devises a plan to address Daya's pregnancy issue. Along with Gloria and Aleda, Red encourages Daya to sleep with Mendez and then claim he clapped her, resulting in her pregnancy. During a boys' night out at a seedy bar, Mendez tells Bennett that he feels objectified by the inmates and complains about being seen only as a source of pleasure, expressing that he also has feelings and emotions. When Bennett later meets Daya in the yard, he inadvertently mentions Mendez's complaints from the bar, and Daya uses this information to seduce Mendez, asking about his day and how he stays sharp. Mendez shares the brain exercises he does to stay occupied. The plan goes awry when she seduces Mendez, and he uses protection, pocketing it after they finish. Red tells her that she will have to do it again. Mendez starts to get drawn to her, as he even approaches her in the mess hall and whispers in her ear on wanting to see her again. An inmate approaches Caputo saying she heard someone crying in the utility closet. Caputo enters the closet and finds Daya and Mendez discussing Uganda. Bennett and Daya talk in the yard. Daya says the situation is good and now they are home free with the pregnancy situation, as Mendez will be labeled the father. Bennett is mad that she intentionally slept with Mendez and framed him. She says she did it for their relationship because she loves Bennett, but he remains upset. The plan works, leading to Mendez being temporarily suspended from Litchfield. Later, Mendez returns to the prison to pick up his paycheck and asks Bennett if he delivered his note to Daya. Mendez is becoming infatuated with her, talking about planning a future together, going on trips, and starting a family. While Daya is cleaning the cafeteria tables, Bennett tells her that Mendez is infatuated with her, implying she must have performed well. Daya asks if Bennett thinks she enjoyed it. He responds that Mendez did and now feels awkward around her. Bennett suggests the baby can stay with Mendez since he believes it's his. Daya proposes a DNA test, but Bennett fears losing his job. He worries about how they'll explain Daya's pregnancy. Daya insists she hates Mendez and loves Bennett, says the plan was flawed, and walks away. The next day, Daya and 2 other inmates practice their dance moves for the pageant while Bennett watches. He yells at them to get back to work, but they tell him to relax since it's the holidays. Bennett overhears and tells them not to say anything. Suddenly, an explosion occurs when an inmate opens the oven and her arm catches fire. The fire is put out by another inmate using an extinguisher. Afterwards, Bennett asks if Daya is okay. Both are shaken. He rubs her face, showing he still loves her despite the incident with Mendez. Thanks for watching.